We're going to go ahead and get started this morning. Thank you all for your time and being here. My name is Chuck Breidinger, and we're going to talk about your 401k plan that's moving over to Vanguard. Try to get any questions you have answered. I've got a little presentation here to show you. With a group this size, I'd say stop me at any time if you have any questions, and we'll address them as we're going through this. And we should have 15 or 20 minutes at least at the end of the presentation for some Q&A. If anyone wants to speak to me individually, I'll hang around for a little bit after the meeting and we can take care of your questions, okay? So without further ado, I'll go ahead and jump right in. Does anyone have any general questions before we get started? Okay. So as you all probably know, the 401k plan is put in as a retirement savings vehicle for you so that you've got some money to retire on and you're not relying solely on Social Security, which hopefully will be there for us. So why save now? Well, you want to start saving as soon as you can, while you can. The sooner you start saving, the more money you'll have at retirement because of the power of compounding. So you want to get started as soon as you can. You want to use the plan because it's a tax favored vehicle, okay? You can either put your money in on a pre-tax basis and the money will grow tax deferred, or you can put your money in on an after-tax Roth basis, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a little bit, and the money will come out tax-free. How much is enough? Well, I just tell people to save as much as you can while you can, okay? Force yourself to save a little bit more than you think you might need. Generally speaking, you need to have approximately 10 times your salary saved up by the time you get to retirement. And that includes all of your tangible assets. You know, if you've got equity in a home, an IRA, maybe something you inherited, rental property. But if you add all that up, including your 401k, about 10 times your salary, about what you'll need. So it's kind of tough to judge that, and what ways can I invest? And we're gonna talk about that. So you can invest pre-tax, okay, or after-tax Roth, and you've got many investment options to choose from. We're going to start talking about those. So start saving now is the moral to the story. Don't delay, start today. The quicker you get the money in there, the more it will grow and compound over time. Retirement can be expensive. Most financial experts recommend that you're going to need about 80% of your pre-retirement income in order to live comfortably in retirement. I'm not 100% sure I agree with that. It all just depends on how lavish of a retirement you want to live. You know, if your house is paid for, kids are out of college and out of the house, and you're empty nesting, you know, your bills should go down in retirement. But on the other hand, if you're planning on globe-trotting around and staying in all the nicest hotels and going on cruises, buying RVs and boats and all that kind of stuff, you might need more than 80% to retire on. So it all just kind of depends on how you define your retirement. We're talking net because you are going to have to pay some taxes. Now that's a great question because we don't know what those tax rates are going to be in the future, right? We don't have that crystal ball to tell us that. 9 out of 10 people surveyed tend to think that taxes are more likely to go up than down, but that's kind of a personal opinion. Your sources of retirement income, we're estimating approximately 34% or 1/3 of your income will come from Social Security. I, for one, do believe Social Security is going to be there, but unfortunately I think it's going to be reduced because right now our Social Security system is scheduled to be bankrupt in 2036. So we got about 18 years to fix it or it's going to be gone. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how to fix it. Raise taxes, lower benefits, it's fixed. Okay, so I think, in my opinion, this is just opinion, and you all know what opinions are like, right? My opinion, our Social Security taxes are going to go up 1% or 2%, and our Social Security retirement benefits are going to go down 1% or 2%. Again, that's just an opinion, but I don't see any other way to fix it because they're certainly not going to put the money back in they took out of it to be nice. So other sources, you've got your 401k plan, Some of you might be fortunate enough to have a pension. What you can manage to save personally, earnings and income, and then other would be like inheritance, rental property, a hobby that you can make some money off of, something like that. So basically 66% of your retirement income is kind of on you, okay? Roughly 34% from Social Security. So we want to start saving, and the main thing that we want to beat is inflation, right? Because we know the price of things are going to go up. You look at gasoline, in 20 years, we're estimating a gallon of gas is going to cost $8.66. A cup of coffee, $4.48. You know, a gallon of milk is going to cost $10. It's just a matter of time because inflation's not stopping. It averages about 3%, somewhere between 3 and 4% a year. So your main goal when picking your investments is to beat inflation. If you're not beating inflation, you're actually taking steps backwards, right? You're losing that purchasing power. So while you do have some safe investment options in your plan, like the money market, y'all seen what CDs are paying in banks these days. It's not very much. Things are improving a little bit. Interest rates are going up slightly. But if you're just sitting with your money in cash, earning 1.5%, 2%, you're really not gaining anything. In fact, you're going backwards because you're not beating inflation. So we really do need to be concerned with beating inflation. So putting time on your side. So what we're talking about here, we got two people. We got Sam and Sally. Sam started saving at 24 years old, saved for 41 years, and he put away $250 a month. All right? Sally waited until she was 40 years old to start saving. She saved for 25 years. She put away $500 a month, twice as much as Sam did. But you'll notice she still didn't catch Sam because even though she doubled up her payments, she only saved for 25 years instead of 41. She ended up with roughly $2,000 a month at retirement. Sam had $3,000 a month in retirement, $1,000 more than she did, and that's because he started earlier. You know, we could have added another name here. We could have put Tom on here at age 50, saved for 15 years, $1,000 a month. He wouldn't have caught Sam either. So again, just to illustrate that you want to start saving as soon as possible, even if it's a smaller amount, because it's very, very hard to catch up if you procrastinate and wait until you're 40 or 50 years old to start saving. So the cost of delaying, same example. Sam ended up with $531,000 at retirement. Sally ended up with $346,000. So the fact that she waited 16 years cost her about roughly $200,000 at retirement. So the 401k plan, very, very convenient, out of sight, out of mind, right? The money goes into the 401k plan before it hits our little hands, so we don't even get the option of spending it and deciding whether we're going to put it in the 401k. I mean, it is your choice, right? This is a voluntary plan, but it's very convenient. You just sign up, tell us how much of your paycheck you'd like to put in the plan, and it comes out of your paycheck and directly invested into the plan. The money is yours. The contributions you put in, the earnings attributable to those contributions, all 100% yours, and so is the company match. You guys have what's called a safe harbor match, and that is 100% vested in your money as well. So really, really good plan. So if you decide to save on a pre-tax basis, your money goes in before taxes, so you're not paying any state or federal tax on that money now as you're saving it. So Uncle Sam is kind of your partner. Typically it costs about 70 cents to save $1, right? Assuming you're somewhere around a 25 to 30% tax bracket, okay? So that money goes in before taxes. It grows tax deferred. You're not paying any tax. You're not getting any 1099s on the earnings like you would if you were invested in a brokerage account outside of the 401k. You'd get a 1099 every year because you'd have to pay for the capital gains and everything. So when you retire, the money in a pre-tax account, you're going to pay tax on that money when you take it out at whatever the applicable tax rates are at the time you take it out, right? So if you're 30 years old now, you put the money in for the next 30, 35 years, you take the money out in, I don't know, 2055 or something like that. Whatever the marginal tax bracket is in 2055 is the tax you'll pay on the money you take out, right? One little note on that, very rarely does anyone take all of their money out at one time. All right, if you saved up $500,000, you're not going to retire and say, give me my $500,000 and take it all out. That would put you up into one of the highest marginal tax brackets because the IRS would assume you just earned $500,000 for the year because that's all earned income. What you do is most people will roll their money over to an IRA and then take the money out in substantially equal periodic payments or little by little as you need it, and just pay tax on the amount you take out of the account, okay? Most experts recommend saving between 12 and 17%. It's a pretty big number, right? Now remember, the company is matching you a total of 4. If you put in 5, you're going to get 4. So they match dollar for dollar on the first 3% you put in, and 50 cents on the dollar on the next 2% you put in. So if you put in 3%, they're going to put in 3%. That's a total of 6. You put in 5%, they're going to put in 4. That's a total of 9. All right? Now, you can go up above 5%, okay? But that match is going to stay at 4. So if you put in 10%, they're still going to put in 4. That'd be a total of 14. That's got you in there where you need to be. I would suggest you guys try to get to 10%. Now, I realize that you may not be able to do that right away. So start wherever you're comfortable starting. We don't want anyone to be strapped at home. We want you to be able to put food on the table, pay your rent, buy clothes for the kids, all that good stuff. But next time you get a raise or maybe one time a year, try to increase your contributions maybe by 1% a year until you get up to that 10% level. If you get to 10% and you're still like, I didn't really notice that too much, go up a little higher. It's only going to help you. It's not going to hurt you. I've been in this business now for 29 years, and I have never once had anyone send me a check and say they had too much money at retirement. All right? I'm waiting. Maybe someday it'll... Yes? No, go ahead.
Earlier, I guess when we go to do that, you said you can pick a certain amount of money that comes out of our paycheck.
Right.
Is there a percentage, or is it?
It should be a percentage as opposed to a flat dollar. Now you can increase it and decrease it at any time you like. And it'll go into effect the following payroll. So you kind of have to allow about 48 hours for your request to go into effect, just for Vanguard to communicate that to your payroll, and then wherever you fall in that payroll cycle, it'll take effect with the following payroll. But you can increase it and decrease it as you want, and it'll cut you off. The maximum is $18,500 for this year. If you should hit 18.5, it's just going to cut you off. They'll say that unless you're over 50, then you can do an additional 6,000. But are you worried like an end of the year bonus and stuff like that, or are you concerned like about a bonus or something, whether that would come out?
Oh no, I was just curious.
Okay.
And then there's not any like fee to adjust it up and down, correct?
No.
As much as you want.
No fees. You can do it as often as you like, or until Donna says, "Hey, man, that's enough. You're driving me crazy." I don't think that's going to be the case with a company this size. Now, there are limitations I've seen in larger companies with several thousand employees. They may limit you to making changes like once a quarter, just because it is a little bit of an administrative burden to make the changes on the payroll end, but. No restrictions, no costs. You can.
This is something you have to do through you and not us online.
No, you actually do it through your account. You do your contributions through your account, and it gets reported to us on the payroll side that you made a change.
Yeah, you just log into the Vanguard account, go under My Contributions, and it'll be right there. It'll say you're currently deferring 5%. What would you like to change it to? You put the new number in there and submit. It's pretty simple.
So this will be, you'll access it through independent Vanguard site, not through like our paychecks right now. Through paychecks, you can see that. Will this be independent now?
It'll be through the Vanguard site. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just asking if everything's going to be through Vanguard Direct versus like right now we go into paychecks and then you see your retirement stuff and you can make changes through the paychecks.
Yes, once you come out of the conversion period, the new website that you're going to go to is going to be on Vanguard. Okay, and you'll log in there, you'll see your account, and you'll have different screens that you can go on to, My Investments, My Contributions. There'll be some forms if you need distribution forms or things like that. The summary plan description will be loaded out there for you. You'll be able to see all the funds, the returns. I think you're going to like it. It's a pretty nice website. Did you have a question? Okay. So creating opportunities to save. All right, what we're talking about here is finding some money in your budget to put in your 401k plan. So packing your lunch, they're estimating $120 a month savings if you pack your lunch. Drop cable, I just did that last month. I actually saved more than that. Drop cable and go to online streaming. Hulu is great, by the way. Lose the landline. I don't know very many people that have a landline anymore. And, look for savings when you're shopping, Costco, Sam's, things like that. I'll tell you a funny story. Anyone in here go to Starbucks? I've got a friend in Greensboro, and we share an office building on occasion, and I walk in the office, and about once a week I'll see him, and he's always carrying a Starbucks cup. And I said, Brian, how many of those do you drink a day? He said, 2, sometimes 3. I said, let me get this straight. I said, you're paying about $8 a day for coffee? He said, yeah. I whipped out my calculator and I said, how old are you, Brian? He said, 41. And I did a little calculation, $8 a day for the next 24 years until he was 65. Anyone want to guess how much he's going to spend on coffee? $118,000 on coffee. All right, now I gave him 8% interest on his $8 a day for 24 years. Yeah, so there's probably, I'm hoping that none of you are buying 3 cups of $4 or Starbucks a day. I treat myself every now and then on occasion as well, but there might be something else in your life that you're spending money on. Maybe you're addicted to Mountain Dew or Snickers bars, or if you can just find $5 a week, okay, less than $1 a day, and throw that in your 401k plan, it'll really give you a boost. So anyone in here keep a budget? Budgets are kind of tough to live by sometimes, right? But if you don't do it, try it for a month and see what you do. Just get a shoebox and throw every receipt. Don't ever throw a receipt away. Keep every receipt for the whole month and throw it in that shoebox, and then at the end of the month, sit down and add up your receipts and see where you think you can maybe save a little bit of money. All right, it might be an eye-opener for some of you. You ever come to the end of the month and be like, man, where'd my money go? Right, I got nothing left. I wanted to go out to dinner or take the kids away for the weekend or whatever. So I'm very strict with my budget. If I get to the end of the month or a couple days left in the end of the month and I'm out of the money that I allocated for myself, I just don't leave my house. I'll just sit in the house and watch Netflix and find some top ramen in the pantry. So anyway, there are going to be budgeting tools on the website for you. I think Microsoft Excel comes with a budget template. All you got to do is just go into the template and load it up. I'd recommend you give that a shot. So there's several ways that you can invest. You can, if you don't do anything, your money's going to be defaulted into a what's called a target date fund based upon your year of date of birth. Okay, and these target date funds, they all have a year behind them. I think they start with 2020 and go all the way up to 2060. Okay, the year at the end of that target date fund indicates the year it's going to be in the future when you plan to retire. Okay, now one word of caution on those target date funds, they assume you're going to retire at age 65. So if you think you're going to retire a little earlier than that, you may want to make an adjustment 5 years down, say if you're going to retire at 60, or if you think you're going to work till 70, you might want to make an adjustment 5 years up so that that date, that target retirement date matches up your actual retirement date. Does that make sense? So, yes?
If you did it for with expecting to retire at 65 and then you ended up retiring early, would that have helped you or hurt you to go 5 years technically into the future?
So the higher the number, the higher the risk. Okay, so if you invested in, let's say, the 2050 target date fund and ended up retiring in 2045, you would have taken slightly more risk than you should have. Now that could help you, but it could also hurt you if you get within a couple years of retirement and you're taking more risk than you should have, the market crashes, then you're going to lose a little bit more than you might have wanted to. Does that make sense? So the target funds keep your asset allocation, okay? Big fancy word for percentage of stocks to bonds, okay? The target date funds keep your asset allocation appropriate for your age at all times. So they will automatically become more and more conservative as you get closer to that retirement date. Another way you can do it, you can just pick your own funds and do it yourself, all right? I'm going to just guess there's about 25, I'll just say 30 funds available in your plan to pick from, okay? You can just say the heck with the target date funds, I know what I'm doing, and you can hand select the funds that you want. No one's going to tell you how to invest your money. It's completely on you. But I will say if you choose to invest on your own, that portfolio is not going to automatically adjust as you get older. Okay, you're going to have to do that yourself. So if you start out by putting 90% of your money in stock funds and 10% of your money in bond funds, that's not going to change until you change it. All right, now that might be great for you, someone in their 30s, a 90-10 portfolio, okay? 90 stock, 10 bond. But when you get to 45, 50, 55 years old, you don't want 90% in stocks anymore, right? You want to be down closer to like a 60-40 portfolio. A little rule of thumb that I like to mention, and this isn't on the presentation, it's called the rule of 110. If you take 110, subtract your age, the number that you get is approximately how much you want in stocks. So if you're 40, 110 minus 40 is 70, right? So you want to have approximately a 70-30 portfolio. If you're 20, 110 minus 20 is 90, 90-10 is about what you want. Now those target date funds are going to be right in that ballpark, okay? So just a little something to check on as you get older. You don't need to change it every year, but I would say at least every 5 years until you get to about 55 years old, and then you might want to start changing a little bit more frequently. Once you get inside of 10 years until retirement, you really want to start paying attention. There have never been any 10-year periods in the history of the stock market with a loss. All right? There have been 9-year periods. 2000 to 2009 was a loss. 2000 to 2010 was a 1.44% gain. Wasn't a loss. And 1999 to 2009 was a gain. So my point is, as you get inside that 10 years until retirement, you've got to start being really diligent about rebalancing your account and making sure your asset allocation is appropriate for you so that you don't get caught a couple years away from retirement and 2008 occurs again. Hopefully that'll never happen. That was the worst year in history, by the way. Did you guys know that? 2008, worse than the Great Depression. I hope that doesn't happen again. That was almost a 48% drop in the stock market. Most corrections are only in the 10 to 20% range. So that was hopefully an outlier, okay? So your plan offers investment options that provide a way to get in the plan. We're encouraging you all to enroll online, all right? Is paper even an option? I mean, nowadays, if you absolutely have to, and you don't have a computer for some reason, or you don't know how to use one, give us a call and we'll get you enrolled over the phone. But you can do all your enrollment online, fill out your beneficiary designation forms online. Please do that, by the way. Beneficiary designations are very important in a 401k plan because it doesn't matter what your will says. If your will says, I leave everything to my loving spouse, and your beneficiary form says, I leave everything to my loving ex-spouse, guess who's going to get the money in your 401k plan when you die? Your ex is going to get it. Doesn't matter what your will says. So your 401k assets pass by beneficiary designation only. So real important to do that. And by the way, the state of North Carolina says that your beneficiary is your spouse, unless you can get your spouse to sign a spousal consent form that says that you're electing someone other than your spouse as your beneficiary. Good luck with that one. Maybe in the morning when the mirrors are all steamed up in the bathroom, you can slide a piece of paper under the door and say, honey, could you sign this, please? No, and then that sharp pain you felt in the back of your head is likely her shoe or something.
How does that work if your ex-spouse is deceased?
In that case, it would probably go into probate. It would go through what's called probate, and the executor of your estate would be in charge of it. So in that case, it would probably end up going back to your will. But the best thing to do is keep that beneficiary form updated. As soon as there's a lifestyle change, you get married, you get divorced, have kids, disown kids. Just kind of remember to keep that beneficiary form updated. You can get a personalized retirement strategy using the Morningstar Retirement Manager on the website, which is going to be vanguardplan.com. You all should get information given to you if you haven't already about the website instructions. The Morningstar Retirement Manager is really good. It will do things for you like, for example, it'll say, hey, if you would boost your contributions up by 2%, you'll be able to reach your retirement goal, okay? Or if you could work another 2 years past retirement, you'll be able to reach your goal, all right? I mean, when it comes to reaching our goal, there's only so many things we can do, right? We can save more, work longer, or live on less. Well, there's one other option, get a higher rate of return. But that's not in our control, right? Saving more is in our control. Working longer, God willing, is in our control. Retiring and living on less is in our control. Getting a higher investment rate, okay, maybe, but you're going to have to take more risk in order to do that, and that could backfire on you. But this retirement manager will lay out all those options for you, and then you can decide which one you think is doable. So your plan offers a selection of investments that are going to cover all the different asset classes in the market. There's information online on all these funds. All you do is click on the fund, and you can find out whether it's a stock fund or a bond fund. Some of them have a little bit of stock and bond in them. Those target date funds, it's a whole portfolio of funds in one fund. Okay, so when you pick those target date funds, you're not investing in one stock, for example. You're going to be invested across 1,000, maybe 1,500 different stocks. Okay, so a mutual fund is nothing more than a collection of different stocks and bonds. An S&P 500 mutual fund, for example, is going to have a little piece of the top 500 companies in the United States, right? You'll have a little bit of Microsoft, you'll have some Google, you'll have some Exxon, Philip Morris, Kimberly-Clark, the list goes on. You know, all the big blue chip companies. If you invest in a small cap stock fund, you're going to be invested in smaller companies, okay? Smaller companies are a little more risky because they go out of business more often than large companies. But they also give you the opportunity for more growth. Because in order for a small company to become a large company, they got to grow, right? And if you own some of the stock in that company, you're going to grow along with them. So you want to use these online tools to help you. You've got calculators out there, paycheck calculators that'll help you determine whether or not you can afford to bump your contributions up a little bit. Say you're doing 5% and you want to bump it up to 7% and you want to see how that would affect your paycheck. There's a calculator out there to do that for you. There's lots of investment information out there. You've got the Morningstar helper. There's performance history, market updates. I think you're really going to find that this website is probably a little bit higher quality than the one you're used to. And you know, we're always available too to answer any questions you have if you want to call and speak to somebody. So to enroll in the plan, you simply go to my.vanguardplan.com. Might not be able to get on there just yet. All right, so be patient. We got to do the conversion. You're probably looking at, what do you think, Don, about 30 days?
Actually, as of today's date, the open enrollment starts. and
Okay.
they have a 2-week window, I think it's through the 12th. And then for 30 days, it goes into a blackout period.
Up. Now, the money that's currently at Paychex hasn't transferred over yet, so be patient. If you don't see your money on there, don't panic. Okay, it hasn't converted over yet. But once you pick your elections, when the money does transfer over, it'll transfer over according to the investments that you picked. If you do nothing, what's going to happen to your money? It's going to default into one of the target date funds, which isn't a bad thing, okay? It'll be appropriate for you, but remember, it's assuming that you're going to retire at 65. It doesn't know who you are. These target date managers are just managing a big block of money, assuming that everyone in that target date fund knows that they're going to retire on or about that date. Now, you know, if you're 40, let's say you're 45 and you want to retire in 20 years, that's going to make it 2038. Well, we don't have a 2038 fund. There's a 2035 and there's a 2040. So if you think you're more likely to work a couple extra years, then go with the 2040. If you think you might retire a little early or you want to be a little on the safer side, go with the 2035. Remember, the higher the number, the higher the risk. Okay, that 2055, 2060 fund is for someone in their 20s that's going to retire 42 years from now. If you're in your 40s and 50s, if you're 55, you're looking at a 10-year, you'd want to be around 2025 or 2030 fund. Makes
That does adjust by itself over time or no?
They do. They do adjust. Let me see if this next slide. Okay, so we've got a visit the retirement plan website, create your account, set your savings rate, select your investments, assess your retirement goals, and you know, check back on it from time to time. Don't check on it every day. That'll drive you crazy. Honestly, I only check my account about once a quarter, believe it or not. Maybe twice a quarter, okay? But not any more often than that. Things go in cycles. If you look at it every day and, you know, the market's going to go up and down. But remember what I said about 10 years? There's never been a loss ever in history. You can double check me on that. Go to bigcharts.com. And you can pull up any 10-year period you want, 1960 to 70, 1984 to 94, any 10-year period you want. There's never been a loss. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but it's unlikely. All right, I want to mention a couple things that aren't on the presentation. One is rebalancing, okay? Rebalancing is setting your asset allocation and keeping it there. Now remember, the target date funds do this for you automatically. Am I doing okay on time? I didn't, okay. So let's just say that you decide you want to pick your own investments, all right? and you pick Fund A and Fund B. It doesn't matter what they're called. We're just going to call Fund A a stock fund and Fund B a bond fund. And you determine, go on to the tools on the website and you take a few quizzes and risk tolerance questionnaire, and you put in your age until you're going to retire, or you talk to your brother or uncle or father or mother, and you determine that your asset allocation should be 50-50. All right? 50 stock, 50 bonds. So you put 50% in Fund A, 50% in Fund B. And you do that all year long. And let's just say you put in $10,000. At the end of the year, you get a statement or you go online and look at your account. Are you going to have 5,000 in A and 5,000 in B? How come? The returns are going to be different, right? So in a good year, that stock fund might have done a 30% return and that bond fund might have been flat. So let's say you've got 7,000 in A and 3,000 in B. Is that where you wanted to be? Is that the asset allocation you wanted? You wanted 50-50, right? You're sitting there at what, 70-30? We got to fix that. You're out of whack. You're taking too much risk, and you're older. You're a year older, and you've got more in stock than you do in bonds. So what do? You're sitting here at 7,000, 3,000. Sell a little bit of this one, sell 2,000 of this one, and buy 2,000 of that one. So you just sold high and bought low. Does that ring a bell? That's how we make money. Don't do the opposite. Unfortunately, 93.5% of all 401k participants in the United States do it backwards. They get their statement in the mail and they see they've got 7,000 in A and 3,000 in B. Nobody likes buying bad things. So they sell the bad one, buy the good one. They're like, I don't want this dog over here. So they sell B and buy A. What did they just do? They sold low and bought high. And even worse, now they've got their asset allocation all in Fund A, and they're ready for a disaster if the market were to crash. Okay? So sell high, buy low, and get your asset allocation back to where it needs to be. I've got good news for you. You don't need to get out a calculator and figure out how much to move from each fund to fund. There is a rebalancing button on the website. All you have to do is go in and click the rebalance button, and it'll do it all for you. And it'll reset everything back to where you originally wanted it to be. The target date funds, like I said, do that for you automatically. Okay, so you don't even need to worry about rebalancing. But very, very important. Questions on that? All right. I want to spend a couple more minutes talking about the Roth 401k. This is something that's relatively new to your plan. This is something you have to elect to do. So when you go on to enroll, you're going to have the option of putting your money in pre-tax or putting your money in Roth after tax. What's the difference? Well, there's some big differences. First of all, if you do Roth, the money is going to go in after tax. So you're not currently saving state and federal income tax. So if you're I'm just going to say a $40,000 a year employee, and you want to put 10% of your money in the plan, well, if you do pre-tax, 10% of 40,000 is 4,000. It comes right off the top. You get taxed on 36,000. If you do Roth, you're going to get taxed on 40. Say that brings your income down to 30. All right, 25% goes to taxes. So now you've got 30,000 gross. Now your money goes in the Roth, so 10% of 30 would be 3,000. You guys with me? Why would I want to do such a thing, right? Well, the money in the Roth account grows tax-free. So provided that you meet a few criteria, meaning you've got to be over 59.5, the money has to be in the account for at least 5 years, okay? When you take the money out of that Roth account, it comes out tax-free. So let's just say that you're 35, you're going to retire at 65, and you save $10,000 a year for the next 30 years. Right? You put in $10,000 a year, paid tax on $10,000 a year for 30 years, so you put in $300,000 and paid tax on $300,000. But when you retire, you've got $3 million in that account. You get to pull out the whole $3 million tax-free. So didn't you just pull out $2.7 million tax-free? If you save on the pre-tax, you're getting the tax deduction now, you're the tax savings now, But when you retire, you're going to have to pay tax on the entire $3 million when you pull it out. Now, what's the kicker here? Tax rates. And unfortunately, we have no idea what tax rates are going to be when we retire. You could be in a smaller tax bracket because you're living on less money when you retire, right? Maybe you fell a little short of your retirement goal and you decided to retire anyway, but you're just going to live on less. Well, if you're living on less than you make now, all things being equal, you should be in a smaller tax bracket. But if tax rates go up, they normally go up, what? Across the board, meaning that every tax bracket could go up. So you could potentially be living on less and still paying the same or maybe even more. So I ask you this, do you think tax rates are more likely to go up or down? If you say to yourself up, then the Roth makes sense. Pay the tax now while you're in a smaller tax bracket. Now, this is obviously more advantageous the younger you are. The more years you have until retirement, the more advantageous the Roth is. That doesn't mean it's not suitable for someone older. I've got a lady for example, up in Greensboro, she's 86 years old and she just converted her IRA to a Roth IRA because she didn't want to keep taking out distributions. She didn't need the money. She wanted to leave it to her grandkids. I said, all right, well, convert it to a Roth. You're going to have to pay the tax on the conversion amount, but if you convert it to the Roth, then you don't need to take those minimum distributions out anymore. All right? That's another benefit of the Roth. There are no required minimum distributions. When we turn 70 and a half, we're required by law to start taking out a little bit of our retirement savings. That does not apply to Roth, okay? The Roth account is not considered earned income, all right? Earned income is taxable income. So if it's not earned, it's not taxed. Another benefit, when you get to the point where you're going to start collecting Social Security, your Social Security check is taxed. Don't get me started on why they're taxing a tax, but it's taxed, and it can be taxed all the way up to 85%, depending upon what other sources of income you have. So if you retire and you've got rental properties that are creating a couple thousand a month for you, you've got a pension, you've got a 401k with $500,000 in it, and you're drawing out of all these things, guess what? That's all earned income, and it's going to raise the taxes on your Social Security check. Money from a Roth account does not affect your Social Security check because it's not considered earned income. The one last benefit I will mention is that there is no income limit on a Roth 401k. So up until now, if you don't have any Roth accounts, people that make over $160,000 a year aren't eligible for a Roth IRA because they make too much money, okay? So for the highly compensated people in the world, they are allowed to participate in the 401k Roth, and then when they retire, they take that money out and they roll it into a Roth IRA, and now voila, they have a Roth IRA that they would have otherwise not been eligible to have, okay? If you can't tell, I'm kind of pro-Roth. I think it's a great thing for most people, but you do have to do a little research. I would recommend you all talk to your tax planner, whoever does your taxes for you. Anyone do their own? All right. If you do your own, then just get out there and do some research. Google Roth 401k. You're going to get 1 million hits, and just check it out. Some of the reasons you may not want to do it, if there are lots of income thresholds out there in the tax code, and I am by no means a tax advisor, and I'm not giving you tax advice. That's my little caveat for this morning. But let's just say that you make $66,000 a year as a family. There is a child lifetime learning credit, for example, that you can take a tax deduction for educational expenses for your kids. But if you make more than $66,000 as a household, you're not eligible for that child lifetime learning credit. So let's say you're right there on that border, all right? Let's say you make $70,000 and you want that credit. Well, if you put $4,000 in your 401k pre-tax, That brings your adjusted gross income down to 66. Now you get the child lifetime learning credit. And there's lots of those. All right, I don't know them all, but there's lots of those. So everyone here is in a different situation. So I can't just look at you and say, hey, you should do Roth, you shouldn't. You should do Roth, you shouldn't. It's not that easy. Now, if you're 20, probably going to recommend you do the Roth. But you still should do a little research on it. It's an important decision. You can change it at any time. It doesn't affect your match. Okay, so if you put all your money in Roth, you're still going to get your match. But the match always goes in pre-tax. All right, the only money that goes into your Roth account is your money. The company money, the match money will always go in on a pre-tax basis. So if you do Roth, that money is going to go in the Roth account. The match is going to go in the pre-tax account. When you retire or leave here, your employment's terminated for whatever reason, you're going to have two buckets of money. You have a pre-tax bucket and an after-tax bucket. So you could roll those over to IRAs. You'd have one traditional IRA, one Roth IRA. Now when you reach retirement, you got a choice. Which bucket do you want to take your money out of to live on? If taxes went down, take it out of your pre-tax account. If taxes went up, take it out of the Roth. Does that make sense? You can split it. I'm sorry, I'll get you in just a second. You can put some money in Roth and some money in pre-tax if you want. You can do 3% in each. The match is still all going to go in pre-tax though. Okay? Investments are the same. You only pick one set of investments. The money gets invested the same in both buckets. Go ahead. You got a question?
Is there a way to dictate that only our contributions go into the Roth so that we don't have the two bucket situation? And
No.
our match goes only to the 401k? There's no way to dictate that?
Only your money can go into the Roth. The company money, the match money cannot go into it. I mean, it's going into your account, but it's being record kept separately. So online and on your statement, let's say, you're going to see beginning balance, pre-tax, match, employer match is probably what they'll call it. And on the next line, it's going to say employee Roth deferral. And you'll have a beginning balance, earnings, ending balance. So it'll be tracked separately so that we know how to tax it when you retire or leave here. Now, if you should quit working here and go to another company down the street, provided they have a Roth, you can roll your money into that new company's plan. If they don't have a Roth at the new company you go to, then your choice is going to be to either leave it here or set up an IRA somewhere, a Roth IRA, and move the money into that Roth IRA. But as of right now, there is no way to put company money into the Roth bucket. Still your money, still in your account, but it'll be taxed differently. I think, oh, he's got the mic. Let's this.
So how easy is it to convert money from like the Roth to the 401k or vice versa?
Once you retire?
Or can you do it before you retire? Or
The only way you can convert money that's currently pre-tax into a Roth account is in an IRA. So as of right now, there are no 401k in-plan conversions. So if you've got money pre-tax that you'd like to have Roth, the only way to do that is to roll the money out of the 401k into an IRA, which you're really not eligible to do yet. You have to have a distributable event for that to happen. Okay, but at retirement, you could take that pre-tax money, roll it into an IRA, and then once that IRA is established, you could convert the IRA to a Roth IRA and pay the tax on the conversion amount. Most people that are in that situation might convert over multiple years so you don't get hit with a big tax burden all in 1 year. You know, maybe convert $10,000 a year for 10 years if you had $100,000 or something like that.
I can always change how much I invest in Roth rather than the 401k.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like right now while I'm young, it's more probably beneficial to invest in Roth while my taxes are correct. And
Most likely.
maybe when I'm older, I'll start investing more into the 401k. That's tax snapshot.
Most likely. It's definitely more advantageous to younger folks, but like I said, there's all those different tax limits for all these different tax breaks. So I have no idea what anyone's income is and whether you're even eligible for any of those tax breaks, you know, I mean, for example, the Child Lifetime Learning Credit, there's credits for like fuel efficient air conditioners in your home or energy efficient windows, hybrid cars, but it's all income dependent and they're all different and they phase out between certain income levels. So I can't stress enough it's important for you to go out and do a little research on it to decide what's best for you. I personally like to have choices. So by investing in Roth, you're kind of hedging against taxes and retirement, right? Now you've got an option. When you get to retirement, you've got two buckets. Which one do I want to pull money out of based upon what tax rates are? Yes, sir.
So can you explain real quick what the difference is between Roth 401k versus the Roth IRA?
Sure. For the most part, they're pretty much the same as far as the tax treatment is concerned. There's no different. Number one, the contribution limits are much higher in the 401k. You can put up to $18,500 into a Roth 401k, but the contribution limit to a Roth IRA is $6,000. So 3 times more money you can put into a Roth 401k. The big difference is in an IRA, which stands for individual retirement account, right? It's yours, it's your individual account. You're not limited to the investments that you can have. Meaning you can put any investment in there you want. You can put stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, fine paintings, coin collections, you know, all kinds of stuff you can put into an IRA. But in your 401k, you're limited to the investment options that the investment committee has selected for your plan, which are ample. Okay, there's plenty of investment options in here for everyone to create a portfolio that's suitable for you and your risk tolerance and your years until retirement. But you are limited to those 30 investment options in this plan. You can't say, oh, I want to put, you know, Google in my 401k. Can't do that. In an IRA, you could. In an IRA, you set it up. You can set up a brokerage account inside your IRA, and any penny stock you want, you can day trade your heart's content. Usually not a great recommendation to day trade your retirement dollars, but that option would be there for you if you wanted to do it. And the last thing I'll say as far as a differentiator is in the IRA, your fees are probably going to be a little higher because it's just you and your money. In the 401k plan, all your money's pooled together into one trust account, and you guys are getting some tiered pricing, so your mutual fund expenses are as low as they're going to get when you're in the 401k. You go outside the 401k and take your account, you know, whatever that may be, you're probably going to be put into a different share class, which is going to have a different expense structure. Good? Any other questions? Yes?
So say I decide that I want to retire in like 3 or 4 years, but I don't want to take any distributions until maybe 10 or 15 years.
Okay.
So does that mean that I can just keep my money in these funds and wait until the measure date that I need to have to take distributions?
As long as your account balance is greater than $5,000, you can leave your money right here in this plan. They can't force you out. You might get a letter to say, hey, you've got money in your 401k plan. What would you like to do with it? You can say, I don't want to do anything. I want to leave it right where it's at. Now, obviously, you can't add anything else to it because it's got to be a payroll deduction. If you're not getting paid, you can't have any deductions. But you can leave it in there. You can manage it. You can still log on and look at it. You can't take out any loans or hardship withdrawals or any of that kind of stuff if you're no longer employed. Another option would be to roll it over to an IRA. Okay. I don't believe this plan is set up to pay you monthly installments, though. If you want monthly installments, you need to move that money into an IRA and set that up yourself. But you could leave it here if you like the investment options here, you like the expense structure here, you can leave it here and longer.
And when you start taking distributions, are they done monthly, annually?
Well, that's kind of what I was just alluding to. I don't believe there's any annuity structure or any annuity payments in the 401k. If you want scheduled, systematic payments in retirement, you should roll your money out of the plan 401k and into an IRA, and then you can set that up with your financial institution it could even be Vanguard, but it needs to go into an IRA, not a 401k. Or any local bank. BB&T could do it, Wells Fargo could do it, Charles Schwab could do it. And any financial institution can set up an IRA for you. And then you can set up those monthly payments, quarterly payments, however you want to do it.
And then there's a schedule of like expenses and has distribution fees and things on here. What would that be regarding?
So if you ask for a distribution, well, I don't know the fees by heart, but
$60 per distribution.
okay, so that would basically, that's for the,
Like the hardship, just loans.
Yeah.
Loans and distributions.
so those are all like on an as occurrence basis. If you request a distribution, it says $60. That's for covering the paperwork, to process the paperwork, to prepare your 1099 that you'll get sent, and that 1099 will be coded, distribution either early, meaning prior to 59 and a half, or regular normal distribution after age 59 and a half. And that'll just come out of your account. So,
So you're saying that when I decide to start taking distributions out of this, that I need to roll it over into a different fund, a different thing, like an IRA?
that would be my recommendation. Yeah.
So that would be like, would that be considered a distribution? I mean, would that be
Well,
tax?
it would be, you'd get a 1099, but it would be coded rollover. So there wouldn't be any tax consequences. As long as the money transfers right from your 401k directly into the IRA, there's no tax consequences. The trouble comes in when you request the money out of your 401k and the money gets sent to you. All right? Don't let that happen, guys, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let the money get sent to you. Big no-no. If it gets sent to you, they're going to withhold 20% mandatory federal tax withholding, 6% state tax withholding, and if you're under 59 and a half, a 10% early withdrawal penalty is going to apply, and it's a mess. Now, you still have 60 days from the time you get the check to set up an IRA and put it in there and keep it tax deferred, but you're not going to get that tax withholding back. You'd have to come out of pocket if you wanted to put the tax withholding back into your IRA. So really listen up. If you do a distribution and you want to do a rollover, which is technically the wrong term, it should be called a trustee-to-trustee transfer, okay? You want the money to go directly from your 401k at Vanguard to your IRA at whatever financial institution you set that IRA up at. And it may be Vanguard, maybe Fidelity, maybe Oppenheimer, T. Rowe Price, Franklin Templeton, wherever you set it up at. Make sure it goes from trustee to trustee and does not come to you. It's really important, and it happens a lot. You have a question?
Yes, I have some money in Vanguard with another company that I wanted to move over here.
Sure.
So can I do that via online? What does that entail?
All right, so online there'll be a section, I can't remember if it's called forms or documents, okay? You're looking for a distribution form, all right? Now, I'm talking about your previous employer. You got to go onto their website. You got to get their distribution forms. And this applies to anybody that has a former plan somewhere else. It doesn't have to be at Vanguard. Anywhere else that you have it, you've got to get their distribution package. And then on that distribution package, there's going to be 3 options. It's going to say, 1, lump sum distribution. Send me the money. That's a taxable event. You don't want to do that. 2, roll the money over to an IRA. All right, that's a fine choice, no taxable event. Or 3, roll over to another 401k plan. And that's the one you're talking about, where you would put down this 401k plan, the letters FBO, your name, okay? Just get the forms from your former employer's plan. They should be on their website. If they're not, you might have to contact someone in HR over there, or there should be a customer service number you can call. Get the distribution form and then call us, and we'll help you fill it out and get the money transferred over so that it doesn't get sent to you. That's very, very important.
Chuck, one thing, I want to, and just back me up on this, reiterate, if you take a loan on your 401k and you lose employment with AM King, that loan is, unless it's paid back in full, that loan amount, remaining loan amount, is considered income and will be taxed. So be very cautious when you're thinking about, oh, I've got this much money in my 401k, I want to take a loan, because you will pay it back over a certain period of time. But if anything changes in your employment within that period of time, then that loan balance becomes automatic earned income and is taxable.
To try to max out my 401k contribution, or is it better to, let's say, leave 401k at 10 and then throw another couple $100 a month in an IRA or a different mutual fund?
Okay, fair question. If your plan didn't have Roth, my advice might be for a younger person, hey, max out your 401k pre-tax, get the match, right? Because that's free money, and then maybe set up a Roth IRA. But since you have Roth 401k here, and your expenses are going to be cheaper here than in the IRA, I don't know that it is that advantageous, unless you've got your heart set on an investment that's not available in the 401k. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like if you've got this stock tip from your brother and he said, oh man, you got to invest in this XYZ stock out in California, it's the next Google, right? And you really want that in your IRA. I mean, you can set up a brokerage account outside of an IRA, then that's the only way you're going to be able to get it. You're not going to be able to get it in the 401k. But I don't see any other big advantages to opening up an IRA when you've got the Roth option here. Like if you took one of these Vanguard target date funds and walked into a Charles Schwab office and said, hey, I want that Vanguard target date 2045 fund in an IRA, the cost is going to be about 3 times higher than it is in this plan, because of the price breaks in that you're getting on the fund, the share classes. Mm-hmm. There's like 6 different share classes, A, B, C, D, E, R. I mean, there's all kinds of different share classes, and you guys are getting institutional pricing in the plan as opposed to individual investor pricing outside the plan. So I would take a good look at the expenses involved first. There also may be annual maintenance fees on an IRA, $30, $40 a year. Mm-hmm. You don't have that. You're going to have trading costs in an IRA. You don't have that in your 401k. You can trade all you want. There's no trading costs. So you got to weigh the pros and cons there. But since you've got the Roth option, I don't see a tremendous amount of advantage doing the IRA.
So if I did want to invest more and it's money I want to touch in 10 years for a house, then that's something more I'd probably want to do separately into like a different mutual fund. Oh,
I see where you're going now. So you want to put some money earmarked aside for something and be able to take the money out of the plan and not
be
penalized.
Penalized on. So
well, keep in mind that early withdrawal penalty, that under 59.5 penalty, that also applies to IRAs. So you're not going to avoid that there. You may just want to open up a non-qualified account.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily transfer it from my 401k or IRA.
Yeah.
Maybe do a different investment plan.
Yeah, you may just want to go, it can be Vanguard or somewhere else, but you may just want to set up what's called a non-qualified account. You're not going to get the tax advantages, but you'll be able to pull money out of that account anytime you want with no penalty. And just earmark that for house or college or, kids plans. You probably want to look at a 529 plan first if you're looking at college expenses. If you're just saving money for a house or a Christmas fund or whatever, I would just open up a retail non-qualified account. Well, the investment choice inside of those accounts is up to you. I mean, you can put CDs and money markets in them, or you can put stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, bonds. Like I said, if in an IRA, you're not restricted by the investments. You can pick any investment you want. You set up an account at TD Ameritrade, for example. You can buy the latest and greatest pharmaceutical and put it in your 401k or in your IRA. You might lose it all the next day. You might not. But yes, you can put a money market or a CD in your IRA. I mean, there's literally millions of choices. That kind of answer your question? Okay.
Okay, we have any more questions? Okay, anything else, Chuck?
I don't think so. I'll just do a real quick recap. Start today, don't delay. Save as much as you can while you can. Stop going to Starbucks. Come up with a little extra money to give yourself a raise, right? Rebalance, secret to getting rich. Target date funds rebalance automatically. You don't need to worry about it. But if you don't use the target date, remember to click the rebalance button. Okay? Try not to touch the money until retirement. It's that easy. You'd be surprised how quickly these accounts will grow if you can leave them alone and just start putting the money in there and kind of set it and forget it. You're going to have some bumps in the road. It's not going to be all up for the next 20 years. I know it seems that way. For the last 10 years, it's been nothing but up since 2008. We haven't had a bad year since. That's 10 good years in a row. 7 out of 10 are usually good. 3 out of 10 are usually bad. We've had 10 good. What's that tell you? It means there's 3 bad ones coming somewhere. So don't panic when that happens. As long as your asset allocation is appropriate for your age, your losses will be appropriate to what they should be. But if you're a couple years away from retirement and you got 90% of your money in stock, shame on you. If the market crashes, back to work you go, right? So just, but for those of you that have more than 10 years, 15, 20 years to retirement, 30 years to retirement, don't panic when the market crashes, all right? Because if you do, what are you going to end up doing? You're going to end up selling low and buying high. Do you make money that way? No. If you pay more for something, if you pay more for something than you sell it for, I don't care where you get your calculator, you lost money. Right? Remember this. If Walmart sends out a flyer and says, come one, come all, this weekend only, every pair of pants in the store is on sale for $5. We're going, right? You're going in and everyone's getting pants for Christmas. Right? We're going to get our Christmas shopping done early and everyone's getting pants. Now, if Walmart sends out a flyer that says, come one, come all, every pair of pants in the store is on sale for $300 a pair, they're not going to need any Walmart greeters that day, are they? Okay? Same thing with the stock market. We want to buy when things are on sale and we want to sell when the prices are high. Don't do it the other way around. Yeah.
Another quick one. I guess since you said it's about like 3 bad years or whatever, and it's safer to have it in bonds and stocks, you don't want to be like, I think next year, it's going to tank and convert all your stock to bonds, do you? I mean, obviously not.
That would fall under the category of trying to outguess the stock market. And that's usually a losing proposition. I mean, sure, if you've got that crystal ball and you know exactly when the market's going to crash and you get out the day before the crash, yeah, you're going to save yourself some money on paper. But the problem is nobody can time the market. typically, once it comes, it's already too late. I mean, the market could be crashing right now, and we wouldn't know it, right? So let's just say the market went down 5% while we've been in this meeting. You go to your computer and get out. Well, you just sold low. And if it's back up again tomorrow and you say, oh, shoot, I got to get back in, you just sold low and bought high. So my best advice is just stay the course. Make sure your asset allocation is appropriate. Remember the rule of 110. 110 minus your age. Get your asset allocation right there where it should be, and then just stay the course. Bonds aren't guaranteed either. Bonds are actually going down right now because interest rates are going up. They have an inverse relationship. When interest rates go up, bond prices go down, and when interest rates go down, bond prices go up. Now, once interest rates stabilize, then bonds will start to do better again. Yeah?
Within IRAs, for security purposes, what do you think?
Precious metals fall under the specialty category, along with like oil and gas, healthcare, real estate. They are non-correlated assets, which means they don't necessarily ebb and flow with the stock market. So, you know, maybe wagering no more than 10% in any one specialty fund would help reduce your overall portfolio risk since they are non-correlated. But there is that point of where you're going too far. You go and put 50% in a precious metals fund and you just blew that whole theory. Yeah. My typical recommendation is about 5%, no more than 10, and that's in any specialty fund: healthcare, oil and gas, REITs, real estate, utilities, precious metals. Good question.
Any more questions? Well, Chuck, thank you so much. for the
You're very welcome.
presentation. I think it was quite informative.
Thank you all for your time, and be sure to use the tools on the website. Get in there and get enrolled. I guess you got about 2 weeks to do it, but get it done before you forget. Thank you all.